Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk, and today we're going to be talking about the Rian Johnson film, Looper. So, let's talk. So, Looper was written and directed by Rian Johnson and came out in 2012, and it's a very forgotten movie that in Rian Johnson's catalog. Obviously, now in 2022, he's mostly known for The Last Jedi, which is, depending on which Star Wars fan you ask, is a real touchy subject. And then a couple years ago, he did Knives Out, which was really good, and is getting a sequel on Netflix, I believe, coming out this year. But before that, in 2012, he worked on Looper with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. And essentially, they are playing the same character. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a younger version of Bruce Willis 30 years in the past. He's a looper. He's a hitman for the mob. Time travel has not been invented yet, but it will be, and they sent Jeff Daniels back to run it in the past. Essentially, what he does is he puts these guys in place, and the mob in the future sends people back. They know exactly when they're coming, and they kill them. They have their payment strapped to their chest or their back, and then that person is now dead. The looper it's very easy work, but they know that loop does have an end. So essentially they have to kill their future selves if they're still alive in 30 years. And obviously Bruce Willis is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's future self, and he gets sent back in time. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's got to kill him, but Bruce Willis was ready for it. And that is your plot, basically, to Looper. And we're going to be talking spoilers here. I think Looper is a very, very, very good movie. I am a huge sci-fi fan. This is a sci-fi action drama movie. I actually, rewatching it now, and recently when I rewatched this 4K when I bought it, I never realized how philosophical this movie was, I think it gets a lot of, it's very forgotten because of the whole gimmick of, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is doing a Bruce Willis impression, right down to the prosthetics on his lower chin. His speech pattern is very, very similar to Bruce Willis's. Great performance by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, because Bruce Willis was pretty much playing Bruce Willis. He's known now for phoning in a lot of his roles, but in this movie, I think he plays his part very well. I don't think it was phoned in at all. It seemed, very authentic. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think, is the shining star here. Obviously, he has to do a lot of work to try and play a younger Bruce Willis and play him different than future Bruce Willis, because future Bruce Willis has a reason for coming back into the past. Because 30 years in the future, his loop ends, and a character called the Rainmaker is running things then, and he has this TK virus that I guess they kind of call it that, but it's more like a TK strand where it's like telekinesis, and he's very, very powerful, and he comes into Bruce Willis's home to kill him, but they kill his wife. And if you know Bruce Willis in this movie, he loves his wife, so he took that pretty freaking personally, and he has to go back in time to save his future wife and his future himself. But then that brings up, those classic time travel rules of fate. Like, if you intervene, will you ever get to meet your wife? And that's what the philosophy comes in on all this, because, this guy is a lost soul. He's a drug addict, he's an alcoholic, obviously he's a murderer. And 25 years passed, he only has 5 years left until his 30-year loop's over. He finds the love of his wife in Hong Kong. He was studying French, he was going to go to France. Jeff Daniels warns him not to go to France, and it turns out, hey, you go to China and you're going to find the woman you love. So really, you should have listened before that. But then again, if he would have listened to Jeff Daniels, would he have ever met his wife? These are questions that, you don't get answered. Time travel is a real freaky thing, and it's really crazy. And depending on what movie you watch, Back to the Future, Terminator, they all have different sets of rules. So you got to kind of play in their universe. But really, it just has a wonderful little story. I like it's actually two different movies. The first movie is like a futuristic sci-fi. We get a look of what the world will look like in the near future with the cars, the clothes we wear, and everything like that. And then we see bits and pieces in the future of 30 years ahead of what the world looks like and how different that is now compared to the world they created in this. I love that. I love world building and world creating. It takes a very good, keen mind to do that, and obviously Rian Johnson knows how to create worlds, and I like to think because of this sci-fi adventure that he made, basically, is what led him to Star Wars. And you can see because he knows how to develop characters. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis's character jointly, despite being the same character, are both written very different ways. 30 more years of life experience, see how you are in 30 years. You gotta play that into the characters. They can't be the same person. And it's got to be written a very, very certain way to make that work. And I think Rian Johnson really nails it. And Paul Dano's in this movie. I really love seeing him pop up. A very different role for him. Usually he always plays that, he's still playing Paul Dano's, he's still kind of a strange dude, which he plays perfectly. If you've seen, Prisoners and stuff like that. It's nothing like that, though. It's more but he has a great story arc with his future self, too, in this movie that I think you should hang back and definitely check out. A lot of supporting actors did great, but one of the major actors in this movie is Emily Blunt, who we don't really get introduced to until the second act, and even halfway through the second act. But she is great in this movie. She's playing a badass. She's just trying to protect her son, and the reason for that is because in the future, her son is the Rainmaker, and Bruce Willis wants to kill that kid to prevent the future from happening. Where have we seen this before? Very Terminator-esque, but done very different and very well here. The movie even asks the question, what would you do if you could kill Hitler as a kid to prevent all that evil from happening? Now the question also is, does somebody else take his place? These are a lot of philosophical questions that this movie asks, and I think it asks them very well. And for a movie like this that I feel like is just kind of played off or just thrown to the side like some sort of regular just sci-fi action movie that no one cares about, it's a much deeper movie than that, and it's so well acted and such great world building, like I said before. For this movie just to be kind of brushed off to the side is a shame. I guess people do remember it because we did get a 10-year 4K Blu-ray release for this movie, which is what I'm going to talk about now. I actually have no Blu-ray copy to compare this to. This is my first physical media release of Looper that I have owned. I've seen it a few times before. I actually saw this in the movies when it first came out because I'm just so interested in sci-fi, and I feel like we don't get enough sci-fi movies. And I saw this, and I was blown away. I thought it was great. I don't think that this is a 10 out of 10 movie, but this is probably an 8 out of 10. I would give this as a film. I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10 as a film. It's a very solid watch. I think if you've been, seeing this cover or seen it on Hulu or something and just kind of skim by it and brush it off as nothing, I really think you should check this out. I think you'll get a lot out of it. It's a very, very good movie. I think it's something you're going to have a lot of fun with. So definitely check that out. But on to the 4K release. This movie just got its 10-year anniversary 4K Blu-ray release. It's got a cool little slipcover, which I like a lot. It's got a regular 4K in there, a Blu-ray copy, a digital copy. And this is put out by Sony. So Sony usually puts out the best 4K studio releases. We're not talking Criterions or Arrow there, but usually Sony, it's their technology. So if you see the Columbia Classics, that's a Sony company. What they're doing with their 4Ks is they put a lot of detail and care into them. They always look good, and Looper is no different. Looper looks great. I don't know if it's reference level. It's not the best 4K I've ever seen personally, but it was a really good one. Like I said, I can't compare it to a previous Blu-ray release, but from what I saw, this is definitely a great looking Blu-ray. So that's a 4K Blu-ray, so there's definitely no qualms about how it looks. It's got Dolby Vision and it's got HDR10, so that's always a good thing to have, depending on what your setup is. I usually watch mine on either a 4K Blu-ray player or a Series X, which has HDR10 but does not have Dolby Vision on 4Ks, which is strange because it has Dolby Vision through Netflix or Disney Plus. So that's another strange thing there. So I can't watch it to test the Dolby Vision unless it's on a 4K player. But I can tell you the HDR definitely makes these colors pop and makes those blacks deep. It is very, very, very well good looking from a visual standpoint. I guarantee you it's never looked better. And if you're just picking it up, you want a good looking Blu-ray to test on your new OLEDs or just any kind of brand new 4K TV that you got, definitely try for the visuals. Now if you're trying to break in those Sonos speakers or sound bars that you got, it's also got a Dolby Atmos track and a DTS HD track if you want to go to that. And I think that this Atmos track is fantastic. 5 stars, 10 out of 10. You get a gold star, you did great. It's a great Atmos track. I loved it. From listening to it, it is a very, like, there's a lot, it's an action movie, so you're gonna get a lot of guns and a lot of, so you want to make sure those sounds pop. And how is it using its rears? How is the Atmos track? How is it shooting towards your ceiling and coming back down to you? Is it reflecting to the back of you or in front of you? You definitely feel all that with this Atmos track. I can't sell it short. It's a great Atmos track. And as far as everything else on the discs, you know, it's pretty standard. It's a studio release, so there's nothing really extra that you're gonna get with this. You're really gonna buy this for the visual and audio upgrade. So if you're looking for that, I'm gonna give the Looper 4K a solid 9 out of 10. It is actually very good for a studio release. You know, don't run out and grab this if you're thinking you're getting like a Criterion Collection Blu-ray like I've reviewed on this channel. This is more along the lines of, like, you know, on this channel to compare it to like Leon or like, say, like Total Recall's Blu-ray release. It's, you know, it's got a lot of care in it, but the extras aren't the greatest. So definitely check this one out. And if you haven't seen Looper, make sure you go out and find it any way you can. You don't always have to get the 4K release. I just recommend the movie just for you to visually see it. So, as always, thank you for joining me here on the channel. If you have any more 4K movie reviews you would like me to do, please drop those in the comment section below. And as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm just jumping in for the Monday giveaway. And today we're giving away blockers, and we're going to be giving away to one of these 3 people. As you can see, everybody was very interested in the blockers digital code. I barely could get everybody into my magic wheel here that I discovered. Obviously, when we get more names. Guys! What are we barking about? Trying to make a video here. Sorry, everyone. But anyway, one of these 3 people are going to win blockers. And as always, we just want to let you guys know up front before we do this, every Friday we release a video, not one of our game walkthrough videos, one of our regular videos. We will announce 2 questions in that video. You just have to answer 1 to be entered in the giveaway. And this week we only got 3 people. I don't know if it was just because of the code, or the type of movie, or you just didn't stay to the end of our video. But we will be doing this every week no matter what. So on Fridays we announce the question, and then on Monday we will announce the winner. And it's just going to be a completely random draw just like this. So let's see, out of these 3 people, who wins. Oh, it's spinning. It could be anyone. It could be anybody. I think it's pretty obvious. Mix Bella 23. For anyone who saw our Texas Chainsaw Massacre video, that is Carmela. She is actually, before she was even on our channel, she was just a fan, and also my sister-in-law. So, congratulations, Mixabella23. You are the winner of the Blockers digital code. Congratulations. Everyone, make sure you check our videos out every day, and I appreciate you guys staying to the end of this one. And if you just wanted to hear more Looper talk, I don't got any more. I can just tell you that it's a great movie, and make sure you check it out. As always, guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.